Well, hello and welcome to the show. Glad you've joined us again this week. We're going to be talking about leads, how to understand the correct lead. What is the correct lead? What's the incorrect lead? How do we set up for it? How do we cue for it? How do we accomplish getting our horse on the correct lead? All of that's coming up right here on Discovering the Horseman Within.
Now the sun is rising slowly on the mountain you must climb, and the trail that takes you closer to the source. And you dream about the moment when you leave it all behind and climb up on that one true horse. That one true horse, the perfect partner built to ride. One true horse, a bond that cannot be denied. You would search forever just to have the chance take a ride on one true horse. Gonna take a ride on one true horse.
One of the first things I want to do while I'm working on leads is start getting my horse to make sure he's soft, get his face, and make sure he's going to listen to my legs. Now I know lots of guys that are really good cowboys that don't know one lead from the other. That's all right, doesn't make them less of a cowboy. Just means that they don't really know or care what lead their horse is on. Most of those guys ride so naturally that their horses just naturally change leads from one to the other as they are out working. Some of them don't. Some of them will tell you, my horse lopes one direction really smooth and one direction not so smooth. Of course, you know lots of cowboys that are really good at knowing their leads and whatnot. You know lots of trail riders who do know what lead their horse is on or what lead he's not on. The truth is, to some of you, it's never been important. But to get the most out of your horse, it's really important that you understand where his body is and how it works. That's one of the things that I spend a lot of time talking about. You've heard me in recent shows, and you'll hear more of it in future shows, as I talk about understanding and controlling the four corners of my horse's body. The right front corner, the right rear corner, the left front corner, and the left rear corner. I want to be able to move his body and put it wherever I want. So at this point, I'm just softening his face and walking through in a circle to the right, following his nose. And I'm just going to take my right leg and move his body over, right there. So I took the left front corner and the left rear corner, and I moved them over laterally together. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to transition here from right to left, and old Red just keeps his head down nice and soft. I like to see that. I'll just work along here. You notice I'm not in a snaffle. This horse is pretty finished. He's won quite a lot of money in the NCHA, but what he really is accustomed to doing is loping circles one direction for quite a while, and then loping circles the other direction for quite a while. Well, he gets ready to go in and start, stop, turn, and work a cow. He's not really all that terribly handy on his leads. And in fact, will be guilty of taking the incorrect lead sometimes. So I'm going to work on getting him to where he's real consistent about understanding that. I'm going to take his body again. What I really need to be able to do is move his shoulder, his rib, and his hip independently and at the same time. So I'm going to start by just moving everything over. I kind of take my outside rein. I ride my horse a lot off that outside rein. See, that inside rein is slack, and yet he kept his nose over here, bent around my body, arched the way I want him to be, and moved over. I'm going to come back over here. This time I'm going to move just his shoulder right there. Move his shoulder over and let the hindquarters follow it. Take my outside leg and bring that shoulder back. What am I doing? I'm establishing the control that we've developed. And we talk a lot about this in our Applied Riding DVD series. We talk a lot about establishing the control over these corners. We don't have time in today's show to go through each one of those, but we do have time to exercise them on our way to picking up those leads. So again, I want to make sure that when I pick up on that rein, you look at the slack, I can drop back in that rein and just move that shoulder over, use the outside leg and bring him back. I want my horse's body broke to my seat and legs. We talked about that in the show, Light Hands, Light Horses. And so we're going to talk about it again here tonight, just really riding this horse off of our body, not just off of our hands, okay? we're gonna get this horse to where every piece of what we do, he's paying attention to it. So I'll stop that front end and move that hindquarters around a little bit like we would if he was a colt. There we go. On my way to working on the leads, I want to know that every part of his body is under control. Lots of it off that outside rein. Look at that. That's that outside rein working there. The inside rein is doing what? It is controlling the direction and the arc that the horse is bent in, right? It's got this horse bent over here to the left, and it's controlling that we're going to move the hindquarters to the right. The outside rein is doing what? It's controlling the depth of give in his nose, how much we're asking for, and it's controlling leg speed. That's it. That's what it does. It keeps the horse upright, balanced, square, all of that by controlling leg speed, okay? So as I work on that, I want to talk to you for a second. What is the correct lead? We've worked on getting his body under control. What is the correct lead? Well, the correct lead, you've seen a picture of a racehorse. It's where that horse is really stretched out. The lead actually starts in the hind leg. So if I was going to the right hind leg would reach up underneath and push off. But we see it most evidently where he lands on that outstretched front leg, right? You see that picture of that horse reaching out like that. So in a circle to the right, the correct lead would be a right-hand lead. In a circle to the left, the correct lead would be a left-hand lead. But on a straight line, the correct lead is the one you choose. There is no correct lead in a straight line. It is the lead that you choose. So I like to start with my leads on a circle because it's easier for the horse to get the correct lead if I'm asking on a circle. And I like to start these exercises at a walk knowing there is no lead in the walk, okay? But what there is the practice of building that arc into that circle. And I get my horse soft, and if you watch, this inside rein is very slack. The outside rein will bump that neck and shoulder and keep him straight a little bit. And just ride him along here, okay? Can you do this in a snaffle? We do this for hundreds of hours in a snaffle. This horse is very qualified and ready to be ridden in more bit than a snaffle, so that's where we have him today. All right, now I want to ask this horse for a lead, so I'm going to slide as I come around by the camera. I'm going to slide my right leg back by where the back cinch would set, and I'm going to ask his hind end to step in to the left, and I'm just going to ask by sitting back and pushing. Right there, you see as I went to sit back and push, Red anticipated, he lifted his head up and he got all stiff. No, we're just going to walk through that nice and soft and ask again. There's that anticipation. We soften and ask him to lope off. There we go. Now there was a few trot steps into that. That's okay. Now I want you to watch him as we lope here. Okay, I'm just leave his face alone and we're just going to lope a circle while you get comfortable with the lead. You watch this left front leg reaching out in front, left hind leg reaching underneath. How do you know, without looking down, that your horse is on the correct lead? Well, I'm going to lope him out here away from the camera a ways, and then I'm going to bring him right back to you, and I want you to watch my body. If you watch, my left knee is further ahead than my right knee. You're going to learn to feel that. My right toe is behind his right shoulder. My left toe is keeping time with his left shoulder. My body is canted. So is his. Whew. All right. When we stop, he stops with his left hind leg up. We're canted just a little bit because as he lopes or canters, that inside hind leg is reaching up underneath the horse and pushing into my hip and moving him forward. Right? When you do the opposite, I'm going to set him up here, soften that nose, use my left leg now to move his hips inside and to the right. Use my right leg to say, hey, let's canter off, right there. Couple of trot steps, and we're cantering off, or loping. Use whatever phrase you want. Now as I lope him along here, I want you to watch again. My right leg is further forward, my left leg is further back. because his right hip is driving up underneath and hitting me. Now you can learn to feel this, practice it with your eyes closed, and just have, on a safe horse, mind you. I don't recommend you get on your unbroke colt, kick him up into a lope and close your eyes. Not a good idea. But on a good broke safe horse, get somebody there to help you. Get him up into a lope, close your eyes, feel the lope, feel the horse moving, and learn to know where he's at. And then call out, I think I'm on the right lead, and have them tell you correct or incorrect. When you're talking to somebody about leads, by the way, if you're the guy helping, don't tell them right or wrong, because right, if they're on the left-hand lead, gets them really confused. It's correct or incorrect. It'll help you in your teaching quite a lot. It's pretty simple. Certainly not recreating the wheel there, but honestly, it will help you if it's a mistake you've been making. Make sure they understand, yep, they're on the correct lead. No, they're on the incorrect lead. If you're the guy hollering it out, say, hey, I think I'm on my right-hand lead here. If they tell you no, then you need to break it down to a trot, open your eyes, break it down to a trot or a walk, start over, get that horse straight, get him, by straight, I don't necessarily mean that he can't be in a circle, but I mean get him soft and get him following his nose, his tail following his nose, get him ready, set him up, lope off again. All right, we've talked a little bit about feeling and understanding the correct lead and setting the horse up to get him on the correct lead. Let's talk a little bit for a minute about knowing and recognizing the incorrect lead. Now, there's an old saying, one man's wrong lead is another man's counter canter. A counter canter is when you intentionally canter your horse in a circle on the incorrect lead. So I'm going to attempt to set Red up here to take the incorrect lead and show you what that looks like and get a counter canter out of him, okay? So my wife years ago said, why, as hard as I've worked to get my horse on the correct lead, would anybody ask their horse to get on the incorrect lead? All right, I've got my right leg on the inside of the circle, pushed back, moving my horse to the outside of the circle. I'm going to sit back and drive the horse up, and he takes the wrong lead. Well, he took the right-hand lead. Yes, but in this case, it's the wrong lead. I should be able to control every corner of my horse's body. I'm asking him to take the outside lead. So we'll set it up again. I'm going to take this right-hand leg, move it back here, and in there lies the answer to Dee Dee's question. I need to be able to control my horse's body anywhere, no matter what. Push him to the outside, sit back, drive forward. No. 3 strides on the incorrect lead, and it's your fault. Don't tell me my horse gets the wrong lead. It's up to you. If you go more than 3 strides, it's because you're not recognizing it. You need to go back and practice really recognizing what lead he's on. All right, we'll set him up for it again. I'm going to straighten him out just a little bit, make it a little easier for him. He pushes on that bit a little bit. I'm going to drive him off it with my legs. Don't let your horse get pushing on that bit. Don't get unfocused on what you're doing. There. There's that left-hand lead. We straightened out quite a little bit. Made it a little easier for him. Now, as we lope along here, you see how it looks like I've got a flat tire. It's a lot rougher ride. Look how far forward my left leg is. As I come around this side, look how far back my right leg is. That's because that's where I have to have them in order to get this horse to ride where I want to ride him. That's what he naturally does to my body, right? In order to sit here and do what I want to do. So now you get an idea of what it looks like and feels like on the wrong lead. Now there's yet another issue that we aren't going to practice that we will talk about. Okay, and that would be a crossfire. We don't practice a crossfire at all for any reason, because to my way of thinking, it's a horrible habit. And that would be when the horse would take the correct lead on the front and the incorrect lead on the back. And that would feel like this every stride. Your body is getting jerked every stride, or the other way, every stride. Okay, so you want to make sure that you get your horse to where he is giving you the correct lead anytime, any place that you ask for it, okay? I'm going to lope away from the camera, and I'm going to ask my horse to pick up that right-hand lead. And I want you to watch his body. What I want you to look for is his hip stepping over as we get ready to take the lead, okay? Let me explain something to you. If we look at my horse's body, if Red's shoulder steps over here, okay, and we're on a straight line, but this is actually our straight line over here. Do you see how we're 15 degrees off his hip? If my saddle horn is a straight line coming through like this, then Red's shoulder is in the way of his hip, and his hip can't reach forward to take the lead, because what's going to happen is his hip is going to run into his rib cage, which is going to run into his shoulder, and it's going to look like this, and we're butting heads. We've got to get that shoulder out of the way and the hip stepped out so it can pass and run like a piston, okay? So what I want to do is take my horse's hindquarters and set them up like this. Soften that nose, step that hindquarters over, soften that nose, step that hindquarters over right there, but keep him going forward. Then lope off. And there he takes that correct lead. So now as we come back to the camera, you'll see his body a little bit canted with the right hip reaching further forward. Ooh. All the time, okay? For me, understanding leads is something that some of you say, doesn't matter to me, Ken. When I lope down the trail, I don't care what lead my horse is on. But it's really more than just having the correct lead. It's actually having the ability to control each part of my horse's body. It's no different than the side pass. When I pick up on the rein and ask my horse to side pass over, right? That's exactly the same thing as the lead. Now, here's something I try never to do. I try never to take the correct lead by taking his nose to the outside. We talked a minute ago about crossfiring. When I was a kid, one of the things that was common in our area was if I wanted the left-hand lead, I would take my horse's nose to the right and push him up into the lope. A lot of times what that does is it throws his shoulder over, but leaves his hindquarters out, and it teaches the crossfire, okay? So what I want to do when I ask for a lead, I always want to have my horse follow his nose, no matter what. So if I'm going to bend loping to the right, so we're going to lope to the left a little bit, I want to get his nose over here and push that hip over. And I'll do whatever it takes to keep pushing that hip over, bring that nose back over here. All right, we're going to kind of trot out here a little ways, and I'm going to come straight back at you. All right, so as I come straight back at you, I want to bring my nose to the left, and I want to bring my horse's hip to the left. I want him nice and soft, nose to the left, don't push the shoulders over there, hip to the left, and lope off to the left. All right, that gets my horse set up to take that correct step and stride out into the left-hand lead. Now, one more thing that's a really good exercise that'll help you pick up the correct lead. If you've got a horse that just can't pick up the correct lead, you've worked and worked and worked, you've done all your lateral movement, your side pass work, you can't get there from here, then fencing him or bending him, doubling him into the fence will help. So I'm going to show you without a fence what that would look like. A lot of times I would say I'm trotting this way and I want my horse on the left-hand lead. I'm going to stop him, roll him back hard and drive him off. And as we come out, there's that left-hand lead, okay? So I'll show you that again. This time we'll go to the right-hand lead. So I'll turn to the left. I would trot along that fence. I would stop him, roll back and drive. And there's that right-hand lead right there. That horse makes that hard turn. He stops, he turns, he drives off that hindquarters, gets out there, reaches to land on his front end, and it gets him on the correct lead. It's not foolproof, it's not guaranteed to work every time, but if you've got a horse who just isn't getting there for you, that's a quick trick that'll help you do a whole lot. You know, leads aren't as confusing and terrible as everybody thinks they are. This is simple leads. We're gonna do lead changes one of these days with you, but seriously, get your simple leads good, get your horse understanding it, have fun with it. That's the important part. We love bringing this show to you. Thanks for joining us again. And until next time, may God bless the trails you ride.
Find out more about Ken McNabb horsemanship at kenmcnabb.com.
That one true horse, the perfect partner built to ride. One true horse, a bond that cannot be denied. You would search forever just to have the chance to take a ride on one.